आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनकही कहानियाँ। आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनसुनी कहानियाँ। एक नई दुनिया की आवाज़ आपकी आवाज़, विज्ञान की आवाज़ की आवाज़।
Vigyan Ki Awaaz podcast is catalyzed and supported by the National Council for Science and Technology Communication as a part of STEM popularization. Produced by Media for Community Foundation. Content support by Kadalosai FM 90.4 Community Radio and anchored by VKAEpisode. Sattlemont Palace is two-storied, featuring massive pillars at the entrance, intricate etchings and statues of majestic lions, floors with elaborate patterns, circular wooden staircases and slanting roofs with grooved terracotta tiles surrounded by tall trees with creeps in the aesthetic sense of Kerala. This is where we record the podcast of Vigyan Ki Awaaz inside the tall, large walls of the palace. The beautiful natural wooden reverb, the wooden doors and windows enhance the warmth in the sound of the scientist's voice. Yes, in this historical palace sits the BMT wing, which is the Biomedical Technology wing of Sri Chitrai Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology. Being an institute of national importance under the Department of Science and Technology, the Sri Chitrai Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology's BMT wing also houses a division of laboratory animal sciences. The mandate is on humane care, management and supply of small laboratory animals of quality for accredited testing and scientific research activities. The division also extends technical assistance to research scholars and scientists for performing animal experiments. That was the curtain raiser. Now it's time for us to get into some serious discussion. In today's podcast, we have Dr. V.S. Harikrishnan, Scientist F and Scientist in Charge. After the elaborate introduction, you would probably have guessed that there is some connection to the expert of this episode and animals. If yes, you're right. Dr. V.S. Harikrishnan is a researcher in laboratory animal science and medicine, refinement of animal models and welfare. Let's get to know a little more about him.
I'm Dr. Harikrishnan. I'm a veterinarian. I graduated from the Veterinary College, Manuti, Thrissur, and I did my post-graduation from University of Copenhagen, Denmark, in Master of Laboratory Animal Science, and did my PhD again from University of Copenhagen. I'm working here since 2003. Basically, we require animal testing before any products, medical devices gets into the humans for clinical usage. So laboratory animals are housed here, and we have a state-of-art laboratory animal facility in Sri Chitrai Institute, and I am taking care of the health and welfare of these laboratory animals.
Animal testing, also known as animal experimentation, animal research, and in vivo testing, is the use of non-human animals in experiments that seek to control the variables that affect the behavior of biological systems under study. Animals have been used repeatedly throughout the history of biomedical research. In the early BC era, Greek physician-scientists such as Aristotle and Erasistratus performed experiments on living animals. Likewise, later, Galen, a Greek physician who practiced in Rome and was a giant in the history of medicine, conducted animal experiments to advance the understanding of anatomy, physiology, pathology, and pharmacology in animals. Ibn Zur, an Arab physician in the 12th century Moorish Spain, introduced animal testing as an experimental method for testing surgical procedures before applying them to human patients. Dr. Harikrishnan will now share with us how his research is helpful for the common man.
For any biomedical devices or drugs which are newly coming into the market after research and development, animal testing is an integral part. So for that, we use small laboratory animals as proof of concept and for toxicological studies. And once we use these animals and once the data is generated using these animals and it tells that it is safe to be transmitted or transferred to the human clinical phase, then it reaches the common man. So that is how the vaccines, we have seen events like COVID, malaria, dengue, and lots of other communicable diseases, as well as lifestyle diseases like diabetes, stroke, cardiac failure, and so on. So for all these diseases, we require animal testing to be done, and that is how the common man globally gets the use of our research. We have rats, we got mice, we have guinea pigs and rabbits, and the institution, it is not with me, but the institution has large animals like sheep and pigs as well.
Drug testing using animals gained prominence in the 20th century. In recent years, the practice of using animals for biomedical research has come under severe criticism by animal protection and animal rights groups. Laws have been passed in several countries to make the practice more humane. Debates on the ethics of animal testing have raged since the 17th century. Those against contend that benefit to humans does not justify the harm to animals. Many people also believe that animals are inferior to humans and very different from them. Hence, results from animals cannot be applied to humans. Those in favor of animal testing argue that experiments on animals are necessary to advance medical and biological knowledge. Here, in this portion of our episode, Dr. Harikrishnan explains the past, present, and the growth of the field of laboratory animal science.
In India, the field of laboratory animal science was a bit slow to take off, and since 2010, it has taken up some pace in the growth in terms of scientific merit in comparison to the global scenario. Basically, we lacked internet, and digitalization has transformed quite a lot. Textbooks were low. Training programs for veterinarians and those who takes care of the animals were low. The techniques were low to reach the students and the young researchers in the field. But things have changed since past 10-20 years. We got lots of expertise going abroad and coming back from the abroad, and we already had certain expertise area, and we are having lots of training programs for students and young veterinarians who are new to the field.
Many people have questions about animal testing ethics, and the animal testing debate rages on. Shri Chitrai Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology takes responsibility for the ethical treatment of animals in medical research very seriously, and also emphasizes that the humane care of laboratory animals is essential, both ethically and for scientific purposes. Poor animal care is not good science. If animals are not well treated, the science and knowledge they produce is not trustworthy and cannot be replicated. Let's hear from Dr. Harikrishnan on how our nation ranks in this area of research and about the competition and contemporaries in laboratory and animal research.
So India basically is a global leader in pharmaceutical research. We are an emerging hub, getting into an emerging hub in terms of medical device testing and research and development in the area. Further, we have evolved quite a lot in training the laboratory animal veterinarians and other professionals as well. So we consider ourselves reaching quite at par with the developed world in maybe a couple of years. That is how I realize or evaluate or reckon how India is now in this field. We got competitors internally as well as internationally. That is how we should see this scenario. So internally, we got several competitors, like lots of private sector pharma industries have come up with lots of additions in their arsenal, like they have started biomedical device testing, phase of proof of concept studies, and so on internally. You could see several cities like Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai are having such a setup, upcoming setup. And internationally it had been China, but while the developed world tests sends their pharmaceutical products and medical devices for testing, they are also concerned about the welfare, animal welfare, and we Indians have got a strong history of upholding the welfare and ethical practices in doing animal research, and that is how we are being picked over China by lots of developing and developed countries for their products to be tested in India on a preferential basis.
Dr. Harikrishna, a researcher in laboratory animal science and medicine, refinement of animal models and welfare, shares his research story with us through this podcast. How the Indian industry is associated with this research.
We have got a very strong relationship with the industry. We help them to test their products, get their products tested using our facilities, and also to gain them lots of certification for their products to be exported globally, even to developed areas like the Europe. So we got a very strong relationship with the industry. We promote industry. There is an industrial institutional partnership program, and where we invite these industries, their entrepreneurs, their representatives to come over, and we also train them a lot to be in the field.
As per a notification in Gazette of India, we are listening to the research experience of Dr. Harikrishnan, who is a current member of CCSEA, which is the Committee for Control and Supervision of Experiments of Animals under the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Animals are used in research because very limited number of studies can be carried out on humans, and their physiology or anatomy can be a good match to humans. Besides, animals are generally susceptible to the same diseases that affects humans, and their short lifespan allows animals to be studied throughout their entire life in a limited period. It also allows controlled experiments, and environmental variables can be minimized. Animal experimentation is used in civil areas of biomedical research and product testing, and also for developing new treatments for disease or ways of preventing diseases. Biological and medical research, safety testing of non-medical products used in household agriculture and industry can also be carried out. Let's now know about the awards and achievements of Dr. Harikrishnan.
So I have received in 2010 the Japanese Association for Laboratory Animal Scientists Young Scientist Award from India, and I went to Kyoto to receive the award. So that award was for me to develop a hind limb ischemia model. In simpler terms, it is by cutting off the blood circulation to the hind limbs as the adult diabetic patients would experience, to mimic the same condition in rabbits for a stem cell therapy to be tested. So this won me an award way back in 2010. After that, I got several research grants like the Novo Nordisk and Lundbeck Award, using which I did my master's project at the University of Copenhagen, Denmark in 2014. And then since then got lots of traveling grants and scholarship to present the papers abroad.
That's incredible, sir. And thank you so much for spending your valuable time and also for explaining the complex topic in such simple language. Now, please share your thoughts on this podcast initiative by DST for STEM popularization.
This is a wonderful initiative, I would say, to make the hidden kind of scientific activities to reach the common man in India, and it would really also help the students who are hearing the program to come up and do their further studies in this direction to serve the country. That's what I feel about this. Thank you so much.
Before we end this episode, I would like to share a few thoughts which I read during the preparation of this episode. Nothing so far has been discovered that can be a substitute for the complex functions of a living, breathing, whole organ system with pulmonary and circulatory structures like those in humans. Until such a discovery, animals must continue to play a critical role in helping researchers test potential new drugs and medical treatments for effectiveness and safety, and also in identifying any undesired or dangerous side effects such as infertility, birth defects, liver damage, toxicity, or cancer-causing potential. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. That's a quote of Mahatma Gandhi. See you in the next episode. Until then, take care and bye-bye.